Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today in War Thunder it's time to have a look again on the update 1.89 dev server at another plane which is coming to the game. This is the AM-1, which is known as the Mauler, and it is the second attacker that is coming to the US tree in update 1.89. The first being the A2D, which is a premium attacker. This is just a 5.3 standard rank 4 attacker, and you can find it before the 82 and after the A26B50. This machine has a metric ton of really interesting secondary armaments, and that is something that, for me, that's what attackers are there for. Something for every occasion, but not too heavy of an ordnance to make large bombers obsolete. So the first interesting thing about this machine is it has access to 4 20mm. Now these are T31s. These are different to the AM-2s and the AM-3s you're probably used to. They're sat in the wings, so you do have to worry about convergence. And then something else that you may see interesting on the X-ray is this, the Pratt & Whitney R4360 4W. It's a 28-cylinder Radeon. It has air cooling and has nearly 3,000 maximum horsepower. On top of this, it does have some oil cooling systems, some very large ones around the engine itself, along with some fuel tanks, and then of course a interesting fuel tank behind the pilot. Normally you just see more of a flat square, but this time it is modeled slightly differently. Then we have the pilot himself inside the cockpit. Hopefully he stays there. Then we have some armor on this machine. So normally with attackers, obviously they are quite low to the ground, and also looking at a diagonal motion compared to the ground, you have 10mm thick plates right here and here. And then you have some bulletproof glass, which is 40mm, effective of 60, but of course from straight ahead, probably about 40. Then you got a steel plate behind the pilot themselves. So the AM-1 being a standard tech tree vehicle, you will have to grind out all of the modifications for it, meaning that stuff such as engine and engine injection are always going to be useful on machines like this. But obviously the secondary weapons are going to be key, and from this you can tell that there are a lot of them. The offensive 20mm though, the universal is a mixture of Heffy and APIT, the default is more Heffy, then the ground targets is more AP with a P shell, and then the air targets is more Heffy, and then of course the stealth is Heffy too. So depending on what you're trying to do, whether you're trying to take out air targets or ground targets, it makes sense to take the belt which fits you best. These secondary weapons available are 14 250 pounders, 3 500s, 3 1000s, 3 torpedoes, then 1 2000, 12 HVARs, 2 Tiny Tims, 2 Tiny Tims and 12 HVARs, 3 500s and 12 HVARs, and then we have 2 500s and 1000, 12 HVARs, then we have 2 Tiny Tims, 1,000 pounder and 12 HVARs, then we have 3 torpedoes and the HVAR rockets, the 12 of them, a 2,000 pounder and the HVAR rockets, and then we have 3 500 pounders, 10 250 pounders, and then all of the bombs, 2 500s, 1,000 and 10 250s, and then 12 250s and a 2,000 pounder. So depending on what you're trying to take out, there is a lot of options here. There's a ton of different rockets, whether it be Tiny Tims or HVARs. There's, as you can see, a conglomeration of 3 torpedoes that you can take along with HVARs, and also many different bombs to suit whatever need you feel like. I feel like we are setting up a scenario in game now where the difference between what a large bomber can do and what something like this can do is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a cockpit yet, but it does have a closable canopy, so that to me shows that there is going to be a cockpit for this aircraft. It's just either not ready yet, and compared to its brother, the premium aircraft, it's a hell of a lot slower, but understand I am carrying 3 torpedoes here, so give it a little bit of a break. It's definitely slower off the ground. 800 rounds of cannon ammunition for 4 guns is easily enough to be useful. It is slowly teetering to the right, so gotta watch out for that. I'm wondering if that's just natural or if the FM's a little squiffy. I feel like it's natural. just because of the general shape of the tail of the aircraft. But you can see the wings themselves are slightly swept. They're very large. I feel like this is one of those machines that doesn't look very big, but when you get close to it in real life, it is absolutely humongous. And I suppose that's like a lot of machines that you run into when it comes to aircraft. So with the 3 torpedoes, this gives you an opportunity in naval forces to really show the enemy team a bad time. You know, you can destroy 3 destroyers, 3 light cruisers, even 3 heavy cruisers nowadays with them. Obviously, you're going to have to make sure that you have a little bit of a watch out for them. And there we go, there's the 3 torpedoes off. You can also go incredibly fast with these ones. These are torpedoes which you can drop from heights and also at speed. These are not the bad torpedoes that you get early on. They're a little bit slow through the water, but you can see that even there we're able to take or hit the aircraft carrier. Probably not the best idea to hit the aircraft carrier, but I do just want to simulate damage. Just with the HFARs as well. Only getting 12 of them is a little bit of a bummer, but you are carrying 3 torpedoes as well. It also has some beautiful air brakes. You can see them right here. Unfortunately, they're not really attached, so that's a bit of an issue. But you can see how they're set up, right? Like, hopefully, I have a feeling if these are supposed to, you know, set up like this, then there's no way, because they're not attached to anything. So yeah, there's definitely connections being missed there. But unless no, they're definitely not. They are loose. They're loosey-goosey. Oh, the engine's trying to kill itself. Let's watch out for that. So yeah, that is they do have some lovely air brakes, and I'm sure when those air brakes are actually attached to something, they will also look incredibly good. Now, the fact that this has the 3 torpedoes, the fact that it has so many different elements to it for its secondary armaments really makes me happy. But then I remember that America already has machines which are like this. You know, it has stuff like the AD2 and the AD4 that fulfill a lot of the requirements that the Mauler does, apart from the fact that the Mauler can carry these 3 torpedoes. So that is the crowning factor. If you want to use this in naval, or if you want to use this on a specific map, maybe Norway would be a good example, then it's going to be incredibly good. But in every other scenario that I'm thinking of in my brain, I would much rather have a AD series of aircraft, just because of the fact that it's more nimble, just because of the fact that it should have access to different or more types of HFARs, or you know, very similar types of bombs, and it's kind of as simple as that. Like, there's a reason why this thing is a lower BR than the AD series, you know? It definitely doesn't handle as well. It feels a lot heavier and a lot slower than those aircraft. And the ordnance, even though is pucker, it only really suits specific situations, such as I said, naval forces. I would feel a lot more confident in that new premium attacker, or in that new, or in the AD4, than I would using this to try and stay alive against an enemy fighter. Just because of the fact that, for me, this aircraft, it doesn't have the same maneuverability, right? And that's a big thing while trying to stay alive. Whoop, there we go. Good enough. You can see the torpedoes already come back. But the torpedoes are a big selling point. Like, this to me will be absolutely stonking good in naval forces, which is something that should not be overlooked. You know, I know a lot of people either don't like naval forces or they're not too interested in it, but it is a game mode, and we should understand that there are going to be certain vehicles that are tailored towards other, you know, game modes than we are used to. Like, for me, the AD4 is much more tailored to ground realistic, right? But this is more tailored to naval forces. And then if we look at aerialistic, well, it really depends on the scenario that we're left in. You know, what maps are we on? And unfortunately, we can't choose that, can we? We can't choose a map which does that. Now, if I move forward, this plane's going to crucify me. So I need to make sure to sit still here, otherwise, you know, stuff's going to go wrong. We can turn off the engine, just to show you what it looks like in its stagnant self. It's got a 4-bladed prop, and also, as I said, it's probably a lot bigger than you're used to. Come on, move off, Shawadawadi, let's go. Because I tried to move forward with in the other aircraft, and well, it didn't go so well. It shows me that there are some kind of collisions which are actually on the ground for airplanes. I don't know whether this is a new feature or whether this is a feature that is, you know, ongoing when it comes to AI. And if that is a new feature, or if it is an ongoing feature, then that's wonderful to see. You know, a little bit more realism here and there is always nice. You can see it takes a while for the prop to get going, but that's okay. You know, normally as an attacker, you don't really have to get off the ground. The main thing is this engine is meaty, and I'm happy that it is meaty. There's something really nice about these American attackers, which sound wonderful, look wonderful, and can carry a lot of stuff. I hope that other nations are also able to get, you know, more machines which are designed with the idea of just powerful engines, lots of ordnance. Let's chuck everything we can and the kitchen sink at the enemy to make sure that they don't come home today. Just get rid of the torpedoes, just because we don't need them. Poof, poof, poof. It's always... I always wondered why that is still the, the explosion look for the torpedoes in this game. I don't think it has been updated since the game began. But yeah, it's lovely to see another American attacker. I know a lot of people will probably think, well, it's boring. You know, I want to see other machines in game. But for me, as somebody who appreciates attackers and bombers and heavy fighters, it's lovely to see the Mauler here. I'm happy that it's here, and it's another plane that I'll definitely grind out over the top tier stuff, which I don't enjoy as much as just flying these things around and just tossing, you know, torpedoes all over the place. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank B. Young, Blackie, Daniel Stanton, John Ryman, Martinez, Matity, Moxie, Nito, Nick Graham, Alobralo, Sebastian Corona, Super Cacti, and Elove Goats and Seductive Trashcan for supporting the channel.